So this is special, worth the 4 AM alarm, worth the disappointment of earlier, absolute top draw. So I haven't known this time of morning, of night, in a good while, but I'll tell you what guys, it's looking like it might be worth it this morning. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the beautiful Arnside and Silverdale area of outstanding natural beauty. I think we might have a good one this morning. So a few days ago, honestly only about 4 or 5 days ago, I was sat in my office at home, just editing one of my previous videos. I just had a quick glance up at my calendar on the wall, so my 2020 calendar, and it was obviously on May, and my May photograph in my calendar is this beautiful shot of a bluebell woodland from Shropshire. An image that I'm really fond of, but I was kind of looking at it thinking, isn't it a shame that I've kind of missed out on the bluebell season this year because of, you know, this pandemic, everything that's going on. And I kind of thought, there's always next year, no big deal. And then I kind of thought, hang on a minute, it's not that late in the season, surely I can find a bluebell forest somewhere. And that's when I kind of set out on this tunnel vision journey in this Arnside and Silverdale area of trying to look for a bluebell forest to photograph before the season was up. Went online, found one in particular woodland which looked spot on, and I went to visit it without my camera, just with my phone, to have a little scout. And the woodland was incredible, really beautiful, full of potential. I'm very glad that I went. However, the bluebells were few and far between. There was a few patches knocking about, but they were like dying away. Nothing like I experienced last year, so I felt a bit down. And then I remembered this woodland here, which I came to a while ago, months and months ago, and I remember thinking there's potential here for bluebells, and I came here a couple of days ago and it is just covered in wild garlic, an absolute carpet, which is honestly a very good consolation. Like, I've never photographed this stuff before, and if anything, you know, it just changes it up a little bit. I've got my bluebell shot from last year, I love it. This is something a bit different, and let me tell you, this woodland as well just so happens to be a cracker. So this morning is a Wednesday morning, and it just so happened that it was forecast fog, just out of nowhere. No other days over the past 10 days before today and after seem to be forecast fog. Just today. So it was quite chilly last night, and today is going to be really hot here and cloudless. So I jumped on the opportunity. Alarms going off at like 10 to 4 in the morning. However, like I said at the start, if these conditions happen, we could be onto a cracking photograph or two. So as I was leaving Morecambe, where I live, there was no fog, and I was thinking, oh no, I've got up at this stupid time for nothing. But then as I started getting further towards the end of the promenade, I was looking across the bay, back towards this area, and I could just see this thick blanket of fog. And now that I'm here, it's looking promising. It's quite light in this particular forest, but I think it's going to be just enough to give us that sort of otherworldly feel, and that soft, that kind of softness that you want in your photograph. oh, when you're shooting in fog, and if we get light as well, it's going to be kicking off in this woodland. I'm going to be jumping around like a child. So fortunately, because I came here a couple of days ago for a bit of a recce after the bluebell woodlands, I've got 1 or 2 compositions in mind. I've pretty much ranked them in order of my favourite ones, so I'm going to head over to composition number 1 now, get set up and just wait to see what happens with the light and with the fog. So I'm set up and I've got the first composition just locked in, waiting. However, it's currently about 20 past 5, which means it's 20 minutes past sunrise and there's still no light. So I don't really know what's going on. But it's weird, you know. I usually at this stage I'd be like quite frantic, probably a bit annoyed as well. You know, I'd made the effort to get here and there's no light, but I feel great. Like, honestly, like with everything that's been going on, it's meant, because it's like it's helped to remind me why I do this in the first place, you know, and how lucky I am to do this as a full-time job. And I mean, let's face it, at the minute, how lucky I am just to be able to be outdoors. The smell of wild garlic here, you know, the birds singing at stupid o'clock in the morning. I'm out here on my own. It's brilliant. And if I get some light, then it's a bonus, isn't it? I'm not going to wait any longer. It's now 5:45, so it's been 45 minutes since the sunrise, and it's supposed to be coming from this direction here. I actually used the Photo Pills app when I initially came here and really took some time, you know, to figure out where the sun was going to rise and chose my composition according to that. But yeah, I think there must be like a bank of cloud, you know, off to the east that's kind of blocking the sunrise somewhat, because we're just not getting any light, unfortunately. I think if I keep waiting here for the light, by the time we actually get it, it's probably going to be a little bit too harsh, and we're not going to get we're not going to get that subtle light that I'm really after. So I'm going to try and change it up a little bit, try and change my plan somewhat, rather than just sitting here and wallowing. So I'm going to take this shot because I still think we've got some nice soft light kind of lingering in the air, and I quite like it, and we've got some really light fog. So I still think it's worth the image. It's not going to be as I envisaged, but that doesn't always mean it has to be a huge negative. So even though, like I said, 45 minutes after sunrise, it's still pretty dark in here. So I'm shooting, I've got a 10-second long exposure to make sure that it's correctly exposed at f11 and ISO 100, so you can see the scene behind me here. Pretty much a natural woodland composition. I absolutely love these shots. If you ever get a woodland where you get some nice uniformed and just nicely clean and organised like paths that kind of run through wildflowers like this, it's pretty much always going to be a winner. And this one worked out perfectly. This was my composition number 1. This was the one that I really wanted to come here for, and you can see we've got this beautiful sort of S-curve of the path that runs through, and yeah, quite like my bluebell shot. I just like the way it leads the viewer's eye into the woodland, and for me, it's all about trying to take an image that makes the person look at it and kind of think, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to be there walking in that woodland at that time of morning? Doesn't that look peaceful and pleasant? And I suppose it inspired people to go out for woodland walks, if anything. But yeah, obviously the wildflowers, fantastic subject here, and they pretty much make it, you know. And I'm sure you can imagine how nice it would be if we did have some thicker fog and some really nice, beautiful, soft side light. But this is going to be nice. I'm going to grab that shot now. I've pretty much just focused on this tree here, maybe just a little bit past it on some of the wild garlic, manually focused. So that's going to be nice. And then I'm going to wander around the woodland a little bit more and just try and utilise some of these some of this softer light that we've got, because it is really, really nice. It's almost like the sky is a big giant softbox and it's diffusing this light down into the woodland. And yeah, we're not going to get the beautiful light that I imagined, but I think this is something that we can work with. So we're currently, look at that in the background. We are getting some of that beautiful, subtle morning light, not direct sunlight, which is what I came here before, but like I was saying before, this is what I want to try and utilise now. You see that in the background? Look here in the foreground, right? Quite dark, almost a little bit dingy down there. And look how it leads off. Look at the difference in light. Light doesn't always have to be direct sunlight. That is stunning. So bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna, if I can get my camera off here, I'm gonna put my camera into portrait dimension, just because I think it suits this scene much better. I've got the same lens on, the 16 to 35, sorry. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very similar concept here we're using. You can see here we're using this path that's leading us incidentally into that beautiful soft light. So I want to make sure that I get this one. I'm having it so that, wow, that is absolutely stunning. That is amazing. Wow. Right, I need to think about this. There we go, that'll do. So, pretty much the bottom 2/3 are the floor of this woodland. Okay, so the path that leads in, and obviously all this beautiful wild garlic. Then the top third, maybe a little bit more than a third by the looks of it, is the trees and all that beautiful soft light. So it's two elements to this composition pieced together. Absolute top drawer. So settings. I think there's going to be quite a high dynamic range in this one because of the difference, like you can see on your frame now. Look how bright it is there in the background. I'm shooting at f11, and I'm just going to try f11 ISO 100. Then I'm just going to trial a few different shutter speeds. First one here, my light meter is telling me that 3 seconds is going to be perfect. That's not always the case. We'll see how this one turns out. Yeah, that's way too bright. So what I'm going to do now, in a little bit of a panic, is exposure bracket, just to make sure that I get the correct exposure somehow. So I'm taking 5 photographs of my exposure bracket. One that's correctly exposed according to the light meter, then 2 underexposed, 2 overexposed. You can hear it taking the shots now. That means one of the images should be the correct exposure. I don't think the dynamic range is too bad. However, if not, I can exposure blend in post-processing. But oh, beautiful scene. I hope you like this shot. It looks like some of this thicker fog is now actually coming in to the forest. So I'm gonna go and find another composition. So this is special, worth the 4 AM alarm, worth the disappointment of earlier, absolute top draw. Oh, what a scene. It's weird because we still haven't really even got that direct sunlight that I kind of had in my mind before I came here. This is just as good, if not even better. Beautiful, soft light. That fog has come into the woodland and it's providing us with that otherworldly feel that you really, really want from the fog to, in my opinion, to take your woodland shots up a notch. Like, just looking at it, I've said it in the past, just go into a woodland, right? Just go in there, forget about landscape photography, just wandering around a woodland first thing in the morning and when there's fog. It is so special. And that's why photographers love it so much. This is mint, absolute mint. Speaking of mint, actually, that was completely unintentional. But as I was looking across here, I'm sure you'll agree, it's a bit overexposed in that direction, but it's just got like a real mint green colour to it. Not too dissimilar from my fleece. But I think it was one of Simon Baxter's photographs, and I think it was in his local woodland, perhaps before lockdown. But it was still in spring anyway, and he likened one of his photographs to a mojito, and I absolutely loved it. I can completely relate to that. It really it feels, I don't know what to say, almost like tropical, which sounds stupid. You know, if you're watching this now and you're from a tropical country, you're probably thinking, what are you on about, mate? But I think, because throughout the winter here in the UK, it goes really bleak. And very colourless in the nicest way possible. You know, I love photographing those sorts of landscapes. But as soon as spring hits, you get this, and it feels really tropical. So this is going to be my final composition. Probably going to be my best shot. Again, the fog. The fog is 100% making it, and I know that because I was in this very spot a few days ago in the middle of the day, and it wasn't inspiring me. Whereas now, I'm at 100% inspiration. This is unreal. In fact, I've probably got a little clip on my phone of this very scene from when I was here the other day, so I'll pop that up now for you to see it. And yeah, I guess I'll do a little panning shot of now so you can kind of see the difference that the fog makes. Anyway, I'm babbling away and I want to talk you through this composition because it's a cracker. The light is absolutely stunning. It's the light and the fog that is making this. I'm looking at it on the back of my camera now and it looks absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy with this shot. So if I'm being honest, I could probably shoot anywhere in this direction and it would come out looking pretty decent. I'm just going to grab another shot now. Absolutely lovely. So yeah, I'm facing back into this direction. I was going to do a panel, but I just thought there's no point in just filling. There's no point in just trying to photograph this whole scene. And I've tried my best to pick out, I guess, an array of tree trunks that kind of, something just feels right with this composition. There's one thing that I definitely know. On the left and right hand side, so on the left hand side there's a tree that's leaning into the right, so it's leaning into the composition, and then vice versa, on the right hand side there's a tree that's leaning to the left into the image, and they're both like forcing the eye into the center of the composition, which is exactly what I want, and it just feels nicely balanced. And then right off in the background, we've got a kind of nice uniformed row of what looks like 4 or 5 trees, which I guess is kind of the focal point right off in the distance. Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing with this. F11, ISO 100, 1/3 of a second seems to be the right exposure, but I'm taking a couple of shots underexposed as well, just in case I need to control that light that's coming. I've got the 16-35 on, I've had it on all morning, zoomed in at 35, and that's just, like I said, in contrast to taking a panoramic shot, it's more just about picking a section of woodland that just feels right. Buzzing. Right, last shot of the day, and then I've got 3 photographs to show you from the 10-mile radius challenge. Look at this, unreal, and all within 15 minutes drive of the gaff, straight out the top drawer. So, hope you liked the photograph, hope you've enjoyed the photography this morning. I certainly have. Now, I have got my 3 photographs from the hashtag 10-mile radius challenge. Again, there's been tons of people using the hashtag 10-mile radius HT, so thank you so much. This is absolutely mint getting you guys involved, and it's really, honestly, user inspiring me to think really positively about my local area, and obviously it's paying off, so thank you to you guys as well. So first off, we've got this wonderful shot from sgtravel.nl. I believe it's from the Netherlands. Beautiful, like such a quintessential shot. Like if I was to think of going to Holland to take some landscape shots, this is what I'd have in my mind before I even went to the country. But yeah, absolutely beautiful sunrise in this area of Kinderdijk, I believe it's pronounced. And yeah, incredible row of these windmills that are so famous down there in the Netherlands. Really nice serene feel to the photograph, and yeah, I guess in many ways I wanted to choose this one because I guess I miss travelling a little bit as well. Like, going to other countries. I absolutely love Europe. Obviously I spent that couple of months there in Germany, and yeah, it just, I don't know, I suppose in a way it kind of feels nostalgic when I see photographs from Europe, even though it wasn't that long ago. I think in a weird way, being in lockdown and knowing that I can't travel makes me want to travel more. Whereas before the lockdown, I wasn't really that bothered. I was just really enjoying being in the UK. But yeah, beautiful photograph, really nice classic sunrise shot. Really epitomises a sunrise for me, nice and serene. So thank you very much for that one. Next up is this photograph from Greg Brown, I believe. Apologies if I'm getting pronunciations wrong, absolute nightmare. This one definitely stood out because of the sea thrift in the foreground, and a couple of videos ago I was taking some images on the coast, only about 2 minutes drive from here, and I was photographing these very pink flowers, and at the time I didn't know what they were called, and I believe these are the same flowers. But yeah, apart from that, just a beautiful image. What a sea stack out in the background there. Thatcher's Rock, I believe that's probably the sea stack. But yeah, incredible photograph that I guess sums up, the British coastline at this time of year. So yeah, cheers Greg, thank you very much for using the hashtag peach of an image. Last up, this one had to be in. This one had to be in. I chose this one last night before I came to this location. This is from E.Wood Photography. I mean, look at it. Wild garlic leading the way. exploring some of the local woodland around Denbigh. I mean, what a choice of woodland. Thanks a lot. Like, what a peach. And yeah, I just love the photograph. Like I was saying earlier, actually, I love finding these pathways that just act as the most perfect leading lines. And whether this person's done it intentionally or not, I'm assuming they have. But yeah, if you look at the image, the lines lead really, really nicely into this beautiful section of light off in the background where you're getting these kind of lime greens as opposed to the, let's say, mint greens in the foreground. And I just really like that. You know, he's used the light really, really effectively here. He or she, I should say. Sorry, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, another class image. And thank you all so much again for using that hashtag. And I'll put the challenge out once again. And I'll do it for next week's video, so Sunday. And I'll pick another 3 photographs. So yeah, absolute top draw. What a morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, hope you enjoyed it. Please comment below this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts about anything, really. But yeah, cheers for the support as always. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you on the next one. Out.